Hello, welcome back to Seawolf's Den. I am Crafting Ron. Fresh off my stream on Karl Makes Stuff. That was just a couple of days ago. Had a lot of fun doing that. I kind of alluded to my next project, and it's this mini rig project. And I realized I started work on it before I even started filming. So a little plug to Proxxon chop and miter saw. I used that. These used to be together in one piece, and I cut them, and they came out really well. Same for this. So I cut those with a Proxxon miter saw. Reason being, I want to turn this into, well, one part walker, one part troop carrier, like small or droid carrier or something. So this thing is wide open, you see, and I'm going to put a piece, either plastic or something, on the bottom of this to give it a floor, and I'm trying to narrow down ways to close this out. And I figured I'd do something like this, and then I have a door. So I think, and this may be part of the floor, I don't know, we'll work it out. So I'm working on trying to get these pieces on there. I'll cut that off and maybe set it right there, and then it closes it out a little bit. I'm going to work on trying to get a flooring on the bottom of this, but my main thing, there's a dollar store. They had like these robots. I'll get the whole thing taken apart. And this is the robot. And that's his body. I've used these parts before for a lot of things, and I may go back and make one. What I've done before with those. That's one of his arms. Well, no, this is one of his weapons, which, you know, kind of animated. There's his arms. I love their arms. I mean, I just take the hands off, but those things are always just so cool looking for just any kind of, so I may stick this in the back, like as engines or something. Cut the hands off or cover them up with something. But my goal is to Dremel off a lot of this to make a curve. I'm just going to pin it, glue it, whatever, right there, and give this guy some feet. I think that would look cool. Now, we got some feet for this thing. I may switch angles so you can see this. Okay, we switched angles so that you can see the effect I'm looking for. Turn it around and we can see kind of a neat little mecha look to it, I think. This is going to hang down. I mean, I know it can move up and down, but I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to have this kind of like the back end is going to be, you know, just maybe a droid or a troop drop off. I mean, it's not going to be a ton of troops in there, but so really I just got to come up with a way to cover up this part, which I could do just about anything. Cardboard, hardwood, I don't know. I'll come up with something. I'm gonna Dremel these down to like a little curve so that they fit right onto there. Right onto there. I'm gonna avoid getting them on here because that moves too much. But I'll pin them maybe. Although these things are hollow, so it may just be 100% glue that covers that up. And then we're going to start building off of this. The back end is going to have these things, and I'm going to use, that's all 40K bits. I'm going to use this as the door, a piece to the door. Maybe that's what I got to do in first. Maybe down like that. And we'll see. I don't know. Got to figure out the base. That's my next goal. So until next time. Okay, I've made some progress, and I don't film this process mostly because it's kind of a trial and error, and I did what I said I was going to do. I was going to cut these pieces off, and these pieces I never really identified, but I'm sure most people know that I use 40K bits all the time. I just go online and find somebody's bits and buy them. I don't actually do 40K, I just buy their leftovers. I wanted to use these doors, and I really kind of forgot that it's kind of concave, or whatever you want to call that, but still went with it, and I'm reasonably happy with that. That's not bad. I think paint will cover up a lot of the mistakes. I got some glue here that I want to kind of clean up, but I ended up using a lot of this, the Gorilla Clear Grip, because it tends to, it is messy, as you can see. I tend to paint over that, and I mean, like I said, I do table ready. I'm not entering these into some kind of contest. So still haven't figured out what I'm gonna do with the floor. Obviously need something to cover all this up. I had options, but I'm not liking my options at this point. So I'm gonna get something reasonably flexible, because I mean, it'd be cool for it to still bend a little bit. I don't want it to bend all the way, but something like that. And then I think that the reason I started doing this is because this was the biggest challenge, was getting this covered up. And then that's kind of linked into how I'm going to do these feet, because that cover up is going to come to that point, and then these feet are going to get in the way. So before I cover it up, I'm going to put the feet on. And now, the other big thing that I didn't talk about last time was this big canopy section. It's big. I mean, obviously it's meant for a Star Wars figure, and for 28, 35 millimeter, whatever, it's a little bigger than it needs to be. Obviously it didn't come with the original canopy. I don't even know what that looks like. I may go online and see if I can find something, or maybe do a 3D print of something. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. I was thinking of like filling in this with some kind of cannon work, the back end of it. Some kind of cannon, so that just this section is mostly for the miniatures. But I'm not sure. And I also hate the fact that this is not flat. But again, it's meant for Star Wars figures, not 28 or 35 millimeter miniatures. But I'm real happy with this. This is definitely good progress. I love that, in my opinion. I know that it's not perfect, but I think it looks good enough. Again, paint will cover that up. So, progress on this. I'll continue to figure stuff out. I'll let you know in the next video what I've decided about this. I'm completely clueless right now, but I'll figure something out, obviously. Until next time. All right, we're back. Still working on this, and this part, the canopy area, is still an undecided situation. I did get this part mostly filled. I'm gonna probably add some pieces here. In some fashion or another. I'm just gonna cut them or whatever to cover up this part. It will still be able to move a little bit, like up and down a little bit, but I think the legs are gonna get in the way otherwise. But the more important part is to get the legs in there, and I've already dremeled one, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and place them in there. There's no telling how this thing's gonna stand. I may have to figure that out. It may be too top heavy, I don't know. We'll see, but I have a place for these. I'm gonna Dremel the other one. Pretty close. All right, close enough. Let's see if these stand. What I think I need to do to make sure that these stay is probably some kind of, because it's obvious these things are not as hollow as I thought they would be. I guess if I continue downward it may, but if that kind of plays, kind of helps us. So I'm going to add supports on the ends, probably some kind of, for something like this, it's going to be stronger to use something like a sprue. So okay, model sprues tend to be used, or I tend to use them a lot. And in this case, I've done a couple models recently, mostly spaceships. Oh, look, I got a part left. Never have enough parts. All right, so what we're looking for is maybe a sprue that's similar to each other, or at least enough that we can work with. What I plan to do is drill a hole, let that sprue sit in there, glue it, and drill a hole here, and it'll act as support. And yes, I'm going to drill into a toy. I've already pretty much destroyed this thing, so as original. Here and here, probably will do. Again, I'm just eyeballing. Drilling a hole is going to be a challenge. Hoping all that that clickety-clack sounding stuff is in here, and I'm hoping that the only thing holding this in here is some kind of screws. So what I'll do, flatten this out, get my drill, put a hole in here and a hole, hole in here and a hole in here, and all the way through. Glue this in, and then do the same. I just need more support. So give me a minute. All right, got my trusty drill, and I'm going to do things to this that upset Star Wars fans. What I tell them is, yeah, it's a toy, never on screen. Get over it. But I should have gone over the flooring here, or I mean, this is more 40K bits that I was able to glue together and kind of bring together. Yeah, there's some rough edges there, and I may try to kind of Dremel that with a little tool. There's some more parts here that need a little work. I'm hoping, and these holes, I know those holes are there, but I'll have something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've got something I could fill that in with. I really like the way that looks because it keeps the texture of the 40K bit, and it makes it look kind of blends in with the actual toy. More noise. We're just going to go ahead and let's see if that. Oh, look at that. That's perfect. It's the kind of thing I want. Oh, there was a risk of that, and you heard it. It works somewhat. So, ooh, that's not good. Yep, there's always a risk when you do these things. Once again, they're not perfect, but they'll work for my purposes. All right, we'll put some glue down inside there. Probably too much, but I'll clean that up in just a minute. I'll make it work one way or another. All right, so then we go. Let's see how hollow this is. I don't know how far this is going to go. Maybe I shouldn't have glued them first. There it goes. Should have went in them with the legs first. There you go. Sorry, I put a drill in the way and all that. Sorry, this is just how I work. This is what you get when you deal with dollar store toys. It's just cheaply made, and it's going to come apart. Of course, it's not really made to do this. Let's take that out. Yep, supports aren't working the way I thought they would. Oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot, shoot, shoot. Not working the way I wanted it to, but I think I can make it still work. This one's not drilled in deep enough, so the support's not staying in. And this is why sometimes I don't like filming afterwards, because until afterwards, because I never know what it's going to come out to be. In this case, this is almost a disaster. This one's not doing too bad. It's the one that's not taking the support right. Sorry, this has been off camera. I've been trying to just work, not try to. This may work. It's just a little off. It's always a trick of doing something like this. Find a way to prop it up so that everything's got support. We'll figure out a way to prop it, and then hopefully we'll see it when it's finally glued. Or not. All right, I'm back. A long delay, and this video probably won't get out until late December. It took me a while to get to this stage. Now, the last time I was working on the legs, and they were a struggle, but they're on now. They still work. No, guess not. No, the glue got in there. Yep, glue got in there. They still work. But you notice that I've got a canopy. I had struggled to find something that would work. And there was nothing. This still is here. I haven't covered up these holes. I've covered up over here. Once I get it painted, I think it'll look okay. This is okay enough, you know, that I like it. And it stands pretty good. But the canopy, I had to go out, and this is not cheap crafting at all. I had to go out and buy off eBay a part that matches this particular toy. So there were a lot of canopies for sale from the UK, and I was not going to pay that shipping and all that other stuff. But a guy in the United States had it, and it wasn't practical for a cheap build, but I had to break down and just go ahead and buy it. So, not the cheapest build. I wanted to get the video done, and I like the way this looks, because you know, you're sitting in here. They're putting a Star Wars figure in here, and that's the canopy for it. Personally, that looks more like a 25 millimeter canopy. Now, this has got a divot in it for the figure's butt or whatever, and you won't be able to stand figures in there really well. You can stick them in there, but they won't stand. So that's what it looks like so far. Of course, I've got to paint it, and I'm going to add more bits to it. I was thinking about, this is a robot from my favorite Final Faction dollar store series. I took his legs off and his head off. This is his torso and the guns. Thought about just putting it in as a gun turret, but it's just too clunky, too big. So I'm gonna take it back apart and just use these and maybe build a turret. I want to have a turret going backwards right off of this, and I think that'll look cool. Oh yeah. I was debating, mostly because I can't always get this to stand. Put some weight to the front. May have to mess with this, but I still probably will. I'm gonna cut this up. I got a Proxxon bandsaw, a mini bandsaw that I could probably use to cut most of this off and mount that on the bottom. And I think I'll be happy with that. So that's the plan. I will probably do this build once I figure it out on camera. So what I'll do right now, and I'll probably move the camera, is work with this a little bit to try to create a turret for it. Don't really have a plan, but we'll figure something out. Now, I rearranged my desk with a new paint rack, and unfortunately it makes it hard to get to my tools. So here we are with the turret that I was planning. I thought the body was enough to be, and it was okay, but it just looked kind of bulky. Let's take apart and see what they look like apart. Now, they could probably work together. I got a couple of ideas. All right, that's the back end, and this is the front end. So if we just use the front end, first of all, is it flat? Not really. Don't want to
back end cannon. If I wanted to mount, well, let's take the guns off. I want to mount this in the back. Well, these would have to be cut. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Nice idea, but it's not gonna work because these won't fit in there. Now, decide to mount them somewhere else. Here. I really like the idea of that moving. See, that was my idea, but it's not good enough. No. And this looks like the back, and I don't like that either. All by itself. What if I cut those off and stuck them together? Just got rid of the knobs. I think that'll work. And it'll just mount on this thing. Yeah, I want to minimize it. All right. Let's see. Let's just glue these together like that. Oh, that's the idea, I think. And then have them sit like right here. I may drill into it like that. Okay, that's it. So less means more in this situation. Less is more. So we'll just glue these two together. Destroyed that thing. And what I'll do, probably, oops, retake. All right, what I'll do probably is mount it with something. I'll make drill into it and just mount it just like that. Okay, just like that. Yeah, okay. All right, let that glue and I'll see if it'll work for me. Let me cut this up and I'll make this flush to here, right about there, and drill into that. Yeah, this is a old, so I think they would put a magnet in this so that they could change out weapons. Came in a bits box that I got, so I'm going to mount it on there, but I got to get rid of parts of this, so we'll just cut that off. All right, back to this mini rig craft. All right, so I've mounted the guns and it's now all kind of cockeyed, and that's one of the drawbacks on how I mounted it, is I want to be able to turn it. So I'm mounted with a hot pin. Put the hot pin up through there and then put the hot pin through here. Problem is, see, there's the pin. I still have the canopy here, glass. So I'm going to put a hole through that to get pinned through it. But that's the way it's going to look with this pointing in the background, towards the back. Kind of like that, it's good. It's about the same scale as these guns, kind of looks good. But now it's really back heavy. Oh, I also filled in holes there with some bits. So I'm hoping that this, which I've modified, will fit and help make the front a little heavier. Now I'm also going to add a few bits inside here. I didn't want to leave this empty. So I've been building out of 40K bits, like a dash, which I'm going to put down inside there after I paint it, like that. Use my Proxxon bandsaw to cut some of this up to make it fit. Other bits I'm going to add, lay here, just a bunch of bits that I'm going to just add to create the a scale to it, and have this kind of outside it. A variety of bits that I'm going to just kind of add to it. I may find some more. Wish I had another one of these, because it kind of looks like ammo boxes for those big guns. So I'll keep that in there. Anyway, that kind of adds the scale to it. So far so good. Getting there. I know that a lot of this looks like a hot mess. Like I tell a lot of folks, that it's got to look like a hot mess before it's finally good. And that's after the paint. That's the work so far. I'm liking where it's going, but it is taking a while for me to get this stuff done with all that's going on. That's why this video is so late in coming. Till next time. Well, a lot has happened in the past 24 hours since I Worked on it last night or some yesterday. This guns didn't work out as well as I thought. The pinning wasn't strong enough and it was just kind of flipping back and forth. So I used a screw, and of course when you're drilling into the seam that you glued, it's just going to have a tendency to come apart. So it did, of course. I knew that was going to happen. But I did get a drilled hole in there so that once I glued it back, the screw would fit fine. And it's gluing over top the screw, and so that should stay. And then that kind of made the hole I made in the canopy glass useless. That's okay. I'll get over it. That will fit right over there and be just fine. Another thing I forgot I had. All right, so we got the kind of dashboard or whatever you want to call it, but I forgot I had these guys. I just finished them. Originally it was just this bottom piece with their legs in it, and it's part of some shuttle assembly that for 40K I used different helmets, so it doesn't look so 40K-ish, but looks like I've got myself some pilots, and they're going to fit in just like that. And I love that. That seals the deal for me. I think that takes it to a new level. Fits perfectly. I'll glue that down, but not before painting. I'm going to paint all these prior because it's going to be a pain to paint them while they're in there. I'll have some extra. I got some other bits that I'm going to use on these sides to add some extra. And I thought about this. What if we let that kind of look like a ramp for coming down there? Let's see if it even stays there. I'm going to put that there. I just like that. I think it's cool looking. Let's glue that in. So kind of next level crafting with the 40K bits. I didn't expect myself to do, but it's turning me to do something even better than I thought. I also had this guy that I thought about putting on here. I'll put the pilots down and have him. I have this guy. I don't know where he came from. He was in one of my bits, and he's a completed miniature. Kind of 40K looking, but not quite. But if I have him standing on the platform back here, the canopy won't go down. So I won't. I like him though. It'd be cool. I could put him back here. Oh, that would rock. On top of that, yeah, I think I will. But that means I got to paint all these things. So gonna go ahead and prime all these. I really want to do something with that. I'm gonna look for some bits to put there. Lights or something. I got some lights somewhere. So yeah, my biggest thing was the pilots. You can look at it. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with their hands, but they got hands, you know, just scrounging for arms that fit. And I used the heads from, I think they were Starship Trooper heads that I had miniatures for. I got one year and never really played the game. I'm pretty happy with the gun after retrying over and over again. So until next time, we shall continue on. Okay, decided to show you a little bit more progress. I use primarily spray paint on a lot of these, but I've been doing a lot of detailing as well. But obviously I'm doing a lot more than just the original project. Since I was doing all this painting, I decided to kind of do all the ones I had kind of sitting around. Got my tank started to paint. It's not done, but I got the camouflage look to it. Kind of happy with that, and started detailing it and getting there. The one I'm closest to finishing, well, I still got a little work on it to do, was this one. I already started dry brushing like the guns and stuff, but doing a very light wash. But I think I'm not entirely happy with it, but I'll make it work. I'm gonna dry brush it with a light gray, maybe with a touch of blue in it. So yeah, I'll be mixing. This part was wide open, no glass whatsoever. So I added a little piece of plastic from a packaging and made it a glassy looking. Got that missiles and all that on there. That one's one I did some time ago. There's still one more that I haven't completely painted, and I may still do that one. And it's another one of these mini rigs, but a different one. So I'm pretty happy with that one. It's almost done. This one I haven't even really, other than spray paint, I haven't really done a whole lot. So this is my kind of a troop carrier. I've decided that maybe I should put my guy here inside this one rather than the other one. I'd be standing like right there or something like that. This one's not completely assembled. I've got a little bitty cockpit that will sit right on there. It's kind of a scratch build cockpit. Not entirely to scale, but I can make it work. This has still got a while to go. I'm going to paint up the engines some other color. Landing gear some other color. Down here I've got the cockpit for the main subject of this project. This is the paint job I decided to do. I just had some paints laying around left over from models, and I'm real happy with it. Real happy with it. Inside, you know, I've got it darkened with the pavement gray or pavement black or something like that. I'm going to be assembling the cockpit this way. I think that's going to look awesome once that's in there. And of course I've got these, and I did find another one of the ammo boxes, so we'll just mount them right there, and I think that'll be a complete project once all that's glued in and finished painting. It's not completely finished. And I do have the door that I was going to put on the ramp that I'm going to put on back here. It's drying because I had to repaint it, but I think I'm happy with the detail. I debated on doing some other detail, but I don't know, I guess I've been watching a lot of World War II documentaries and stuff, and just got inspired to do all these in a kind of camouflagey war type layout. I think I'm going to do, I'm pretty happy with the overall. And I actually have an idea for how I'm going to use these in a new game I'm planning. Onward and Forward should have this completely done. I'll get these guys finished up. They're still needing some touch up, and then a little bit of detailing on their faces and stuff. I don't know how much I really need to do. I want to do some more on the paneling. There's paneling there. Really can't see it, but there's some paneling there. I'm going to put some lights on. But I'm real happy with the result. Until next time. All right. I finished it up yesterday. A little bit today too. Glue it all together. A little heavy on the dry brush, but I mean, it'll work. Like I said, table ready. But I love that cockpit. I had no idea I'd be able to do that when I first looked at it. And look at it from up close. It's just 100%, you know, 28 to 35 millimeter, 100%. Yeah, my biggest complaint is this gun is still a little wobbly, but that's only because of how I mounted it. I also added a little weight to the nose with a bolt, and actually, now that I look at it, I've got to put a wash on this one too and dry brush it, but it now sits right. When you lift up the cockpit, it sits right. I really do love the way this looks. This is probably one of my best ones, in my opinion. This is just too cool. Thoroughly enjoyed making this. Still a couple mistakes that I see. I scraped off some paint here mistakenly, but I believe that is a scar. But this just looks like one piece, and it's just perfect. I love this one. My favorite new one. Outstanding. So hope you liked it. Took me a while to get the video to finish, and it was not as cheap as I'd hoped with buying the canopy, but overall I think it is awesome. If you can get the mini rig intact fairly cheap, I would do it. If you want to play around with the same kind of thing. So hope you like.
Until next time, seek the wolf in thyself.